welcome to the 1-year anniversary episode of the Minorities Report podcast. I'm Antonio Alcazar.
Technor.
Yo, Tick, we did Terminator 2 today.
We went back to the past. Well, kind of, and did Terminator 2.
Yeah, did they... I feel like maybe I'll just ask you these questions at the end, but
yeah, go ahead.
I got questions for this.
You should
one.
have questions, yeah.
Yeah, this one really was a cool, interesting watch. I'm ready to talk about this one.
Are you ready to talk about this one?
Hold on. Yeah, I'm ready to talk about this one.
Why don't you run them down our Patreon real quick?
Sure, yeah. If you guys want to help support the Minorities Report podcast, please consider subscribing to the Patreon. It is patreon.com/minoritiesreport. We've got 2 tiers. The first gives you access to secret hidden episodes that I promise you I'll put up at some point. And the second tier, which is at $3, gives you access to voting on future movies. Although that we haven't done that yet because we needed to get through these anniversary episodes.
Yeah, and we're still kind of new to Patreon, so like I don't have access to be able to give you to put up the list of the different movies that we might actually review.
Yeah, so. But all of that will be on there pretty soon.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah, so let's
and you might even be able to click on a link in this episode's YouTube upload.
Yeah, there's going to be a link to it in this episode's YouTube. I don't know why I've been missing them. Listen, man, we're all new to this, okay? I've only been doing this for a year now.
Yeah. You know what? Funny enough, I've only been doing this for a year as well.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
It's funny how that works.
It's an odd coincidence.
Yes, that is all it is, too.
Yes.
It's coincidence.
Yeah, right, exactly. So we're back at you with James Cameron once again. Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
Yeah.
1991, bro.
91?
Yeah.
Okay.
I remember, so I was 10 years old when this came out, okay? Because I turned 11 a couple months after this came out.
Okay.
I remember this film coming out and it being like, holy shit, man.
Yeah.
Like, I think like everybody was like, holy shit. Sure. Like, even though like Terminator 1 wasn't like a Marvel film where everybody knew about it and everybody did.
Sure.
But there was something about this movie that was just like, wow, like if it was the previews, and I remember like this was definitely kind of like broadcast, even though it was rated R, it was certainly kind of broadcast towards 10 to like 18-year-olds because it was all over the early MTV stuff and whatnot, and there was like previews of it everywhere, and Nickelodeon, all this crazy ass shit.
So the marketing budget for this movie was enormous.
The budget for this movie was insane at the time. I can jump into that right now instead of holding it, because a lot of times I do budget towards the end.
Yeah.
But the budget for this film was like over $100 million. Okay. It was the most expensive film ever made at the time.
No way.
Yes.
Holy
shit. Most expensive film ever made.
Yeah, I believe that just wholeheartedly.
We'll get to some of the reasons why it was so insanely expensive too at that time. Because like the first movie's budget was like $7 million, just to put that in perspective. Sure. And now that movie was like 7 years earlier, but still from $7 million to 100.
So right now when you said 1991, I'm actually kind of a little blown away that it was so long after, because the first one was what, 84, 80?
Yes. So what ended up happening was they wanted to start, so like because the first one was a success, like hands down, just it was well received, made a ton of money. So they were like, all right, let's start Terminator 2. So instantly they started getting ready for Terminator 2, started writing a script for it and all this other stuff, which, watching the movie, it's like you barely had to write a script. But on a serious level, they started developing for it right away. And then there was like a fight between the group that owned the rights to the first movie and then like creation of the second movie. And then that old film studio was having issues and whatnot, so they couldn't like get another movie off the ground. So then they just had to wait, basically. Then in 89? It was like late 89, early 90. They sold the rights to who ended up with it, and then the production started right away. They started filming instantly, just as soon as they could, right after that, because they were like, all right. This
Same director, though, right?
Same director, James Cameron. Of course it was, Cameron man. Why wouldn't you?
I just couldn't remember if James Cameron was the first movie too.
I mean, yeah, he was.
Yeah.
The one you might be thinking of is Alien, which was Ridley Scott to James Cameron, coincidentally.
Oh,
enough.
interesting.
So, yes.
Yeah.
So he already under his belt, he had Terminator and Aliens.
Sure. Yeah.
So, which Terminator was considered, like at the time, like one of the best sci-fi films of all time.
Yeah.
And Aliens was like this like insanely loved sci-fi film. Like
Aliens was already out by this point?
Oh yeah, that was 86 or 7,
Okay.
man. So yeah, a few years ago before or whatever. But like the dude's movies take some time to make. This isn't some like Marvel film where like they can get this movie out in like 3 to 4 months. Just like, here we go, we're done, let's do it. Cameron is like a little bit, it's funny because when I think about Cameron, he's got to be considered, especially over the last like 40 years, one of the greatest directors of all time. Like, I was thinking about this actually when I was getting ready to do this podcast, and I was like, this guy's and I think to myself, he's directed so much. And then I actually looked more into it, and he hasn't really directed that many films. It's just everything he's done has been like a big deal, right?
Yeah.
It's the exact opposite of like a Steven Spielberg who like can't stop directing, and he just directs fucking everything.
Yeah.
James Cameron is like few and far between, and he has like giant jumps between his jobs. But everything he's made has been like a financial success, a blockbuster success. So
a lot of them record breaking.
Yes,
just like
yes.
like time
of course.
after time.
Titanic, of course, and then Avatar. So I mean, like, and those movies are like, while I don't really care for Titanic, and I have issues with Avatar. I remember seeing Avatar in the theater and being like, wow, the fucking effects in this are amazing, man. And I remember my kid really liking it, and I didn't think it was like best movie of all time, like why it got there, but I can see why, because like especially in foreign audiences, it was gigantically huge. So Cameron to me is like probably one of the best directors of the last 40 years, just because he's, like I said, and some of the other thing, obviously the 2 Terminators, Alien, The Abyss. Have you ever seen that?
No, I've never seen The Abyss.
Okay, Michael Biehn's in that film as well, which is funny. Yeah,
funny.
But he's one of the main characters in that movie. So
yeah,
and that's a pretty cool movie too. Of course, great special effects in the film, like always. Basically about like a life form in deep sea.
Oh yeah. So, I'm aware of The Abyss.
Sure,
for sure.
So,
and then Titanic, 97.
Of course,
for sure.
Right. So,
and then nothing between Titanic and Avatar?
You know what? And I just put this down.
I'm pretty sure Avatar was like early 2000s too. It was like 2006 or something like that.
So this is his list of stuff, okay? Like Terminator, Aliens, The Abyss, Terminator 2. No. This movie. I forgot about this movie too, man.
What?
Which I love this movie, True Lies.
I'm aware of True Lies.
Again, another
Schwarzenegger, right?
Another Arnold film.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
He plays like a CIA guy or whatever.
And Jamie Lee Curtis is in that one?
Yes. Yep, absolutely. Titanic. Then he did some TV. He did this show called Dark Angel. I know
Dark Angel with Jessica Alba.
Yeah,
I never saw it, but
I
remember it being on TV.
And then he did some documentaries after that, actually. So he did back-to-back documentaries, Avatar, and then he worked on a film together called Torok. I think this is like some, I don't know, it has something to do with Avatar, but I don't know exactly what. And then, of course, next year he's got Avatar 2 coming out. So yeah, the guy is like few and far between, and
yeah, he's made a ton of stuff.
3
Not
of his
for
films,
such a huge actor,
right? Or director, right? And I just think he's like, I mean, like, I don't want to like compare it because it's so different, but kind of Kubrickian with his ways. Like, and I don't mean that as in like Kubrick had like a meticulous style of how he made his movies, but Kubrick was very picky with what he was actually going to do. Yeah. And I feel like Cameron might be the same way, just but with like on a sci-fi sort of thing, or like an action sci-fi sort of view. Because again, he didn't make, between 84 Terminator and Avatar, there's like, 5 movies or whatever, right? Yeah. So it's a huge jump between stuff. And
maybe he also just likes to enjoy his life.
Yeah.
He's not one of these like workaholic directors that needs to be making a fucking movie every day. Yeah. Like he's just like, no, I got rich off of this, so I think I'm just going to enjoy this
maybe
shit.
He's very George Martin-ish, where he's just like, I'm just going to fucking love my life for a while.
Yeah. And then he's just like, I think I only have like $10 million left. I should probably make another movie.
and he's like, I know this for a fact because like he's been divorced like 5 times. Like he fucks around and finds out all the time. So
maybe after Titanic, when that shit grows like $1 billion, he just had like $500 million in the bank, and he's just like, I'm just gonna enjoy myself for a bit.
Probably.
And then when he was just like, I think I'm down to my last $100 million. I'll make Avatar. They made another 1 point some billion, and he's just like, I think I'm just gonna enjoy my life for it. Like that's how I expect people should be doing it.
Yeah.
You know, like Nolan, for instance, who's just like a movie every couple of years.
Yeah,
like that to me is just like, you must really love movie making, because like, I can't imagine making like $100 million and then not just chilling.
Yeah, but think about it like this, I guess. Like, first of all, so like even Nolan's a perfect example where he's probably made like 10 movies over the last 20 years or so. Okay, like maybe a little bit longer.
Yeah, but 10 movies over the last 20 years is a movie every 2 years.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's that many, because I'm thinking like, okay, he did the Batman trilogy, he did that fucking Hocus Pocus film, the magic film,
The Prestige.
Thank you. Okay,
The Prestige is a great movie.
Oh, is it? Okay, so
have you seen it?
Yeah, of course I've seen every Nolan.
And
film.
you didn't like it? I love The Prestige.
It's probably one of his worst films, in my opinion. It's just, to me, it's incredibly boring, and like,
oh, that's right.
I find some of the stuff interesting, but overall, I just don't find it that interesting.
Yeah. You have a hard time with depth.
Yeah, that's what it is. And then, I mean, he's got Inception. Yeah. He's got Dunkirk, and then he's got Tenet.
No, and the one where he goes across the universe for love.
Thank you. Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah.
So that's 8 films since Batman Begins, which was 2003.
Was it? Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that's like 18 years now, and that's 8 films. So that's
that's still about a movie every 2 years,
almost every other year or so. Yeah. So I mean,
that just seems like work, because like think about the production time of a movie.
Probably like 8 to 9 months.
Yeah, in between principal photography, let's say writing, to principal photography, to post that, or to the post production. Yeah, that's got to be like back to back to back to back. Like it's a 2-year process. It's got to be. So I just feel like he's like done with the movie, and he's just like not, like he cracks his knuckles.
Yeah,
and
but
he's
you know
like,
what? It's kind of like. It's kind of like people like a Bezos or some shit like that. Like I was talking to somebody about this the other day, like how you and I are like, we'd make a few $1 million and take some time off.
But it's not even a few million. These dudes make money.
But I'm just saying. So one of the things that gets you to that money level is like this drive. That fucking
this insatiable thirst,
which is
for the
like
money.
Hard. I don't even know if it's always the money as much as it is the drive to be like this successful thing. And like, there's no way it's just money. It's also prestige and shit like that for a lot of people. Not everyone's like, what's that Democrat, like super rich Democrat's name? Warren Buffett or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like not everyone's like him, where they're like, I don't really give a fuck about like this prestige wealth sort of thing, and I want to give away more and more of my money. I think a lot of them are like, I want the titles and the prestige that goes with like Bezos and what is it, like Elon Musk or someone like that. I think part of it to them is like, it's not that I want to have all this money. I want to have more money than that guy right there, because fuck that guy right there. Sure. So I think that's part of it.
Like that's, I guess from my point of view, it's just like that. The whole point, the whole reason we started talking on this tangent is because I was like, if I were in that position, I would make a ton of fucking money and then take a couple of years.
No, of course, man. Like, or like another good example is Scorsese, man. Like that's another person, Cameron-esque, where he doesn't have a movie every couple of years. It's like 5 years now. So, or Tarantino's another great example. Like Tarantino makes a movie when he wants to. Like
I feel like he's made 8 movies ever.
Right.
I
think he has 9, right?
Sure, maybe. Yeah.
And he was
since 19 whenever Reservoir Dogs came out, like 1990 or something.
Or something shit like that. Yeah. Early 90s.
He's made like 8 movies.
Yeah. Because that guy's just like, he's like you would be if you were a director. Like he's got more than enough money for him. Yeah. Right. And he's just like, when I have an art project I want to do, I'm going to do that art project.
Yeah. And then I'm going to get into it.
Yes.
And then I'll just be done for a while.
Right. And he's only going to take, like, I respect that, because he takes then actors who are like, I'm willing to be on board with you. Like, because look at like, what was that other Western he did? Not Django.
Hateful Eight.
No, that wasn't a Western. That was about California.
Arguably, that was a Western. It was all about Westerns.
It was about making Westerns.
Okay.
And the death of
Westerns.
Hollywood. Right. The Hollywood Western. Right. Yeah. But it wasn't a Western film.
It was an ode to Westerns.
Shut the fuck up.
A love letter to Westerns.
Hateful Eight was the other Western film he did. Yeah. And I remember reading about how, like, for 3 months, everybody that was on that set could only, like, live in the, like, apartments right around there, could not have their cell phone, and could not have, like, all this other shit. And they had to be just devoted to this thing. And, like, I know, like, some people are like, I didn't like that movie. I fucking love Hateful Eight.
Of all of the Tarantino movies, I've disliked 2 of them. Hateful Eight was one of them.
Okay, I understand. You have a problem with depth. It's a good movie. So anyways, we are into James Cameron, our favorite director.
Listen, I don't feel bad about going on tangents. This is the 1-year anniversary.
Right. And this is the point of that.
Just going to enjoy this.
We're fucking tangent central. All right. So we're going to kick it off, and we're in LA 2029. 8 years from right now, this is LA.
Yeah.
I believe it. I could see that being LA. Sure. Not even a Terminator apocalypse, just like
this
the
is
fucking
just the state of things.
Right, exactly.
It's just going towards that.
Exactly.
We didn't need AI to get there.
Right, yes. And that the Terminator, like the T-800 comes in and crushes that skull.
Yeah.
And like right off the bat from that, they were like, you're in for a different level of special effects.
Yeah, I remember. Like, so the 1984 one, I told you, I was just like, it looked really 1984.
Yes. Yeah.
And then when I was watching this one, I'm like, oh, the production value has been stepped up.
Yes. And then we get some
man, how janky the T-800 looked in the first movie, where it looked like it was like
stop motion.
Stop motion. And then this time it was just like this.
It was like a machine.
Yeah, one coming out of the sky and shit. I was like, oh, boy,
right. They had the hunter killers going and everything else.
Yeah.
And we just get a bunch of futuristic warfare for a little while, which is really kind of cool because we got a little scene of it in 84, but not to this level.
No,
and importantly, this is like the opening scene to the movie, though. So you don't have like flashback or something like that. Sure. It's like, we're going to show you this is, expect these special effects throughout the film, but more even. And
one of the problems that I had, one of the problems that I have with watching old movies is that because some of these movies are so well known and they've been in the cultural zeitgeist for so long, there is no way that I don't just by osmosis see some stuff that happens. And so I knew about what I learned today was called the T-1000. So like I'd seen scenes of this fucking
Robert
T-1000,
Patrick,
right? So I really kind of liked thinking how cool it must have been, because there's a line that Sarah Connor says when this scene's going on, where it's just like, this time they went back and tried to kill John Connor, and again they sent somebody to protect him. And I can't imagine how exciting it must have been for people who had nothing, like it was the first time they were going in, they had no idea what was going to happen.
A person like me who doesn't watch trailers.
Who goes into this movie thinking that the T-1000 is this time's good guy. And for it to just be like, what?
Well, here's the thing. Like, I want to get to that too. So we meet John Connor in the future. Importantly, this time.
Well, we see him. He's just standing there.
Right. He's fucking surveying the battlefield, curating new plans, and then we get the credits, of course. And I like this version of the music. The music's actually changed slightly from the old version of the music. It's still similar, but it starts off with the softer tones and stuff like that, and then ends with the hammer of the Terminator like theme part. Again, man,
it doesn't
love
start
this fucking theme. Right, exactly. It's the inverse of that, right? Which tells me like how this story is going to kind of go, exactly, and whatnot. So
it sets you up subconsciously.
I loved it in the first one, love it in the second one again. I just love this music. It just, to me, speaks to me about the Terminator. We jump into the future, we jump into the past. And we have the exact same intro from the first movie, but twisted slightly, okay? Because it's the same thing. You have a trash man and everything like that, and you have Arnold shows up, right?
For sure.
And Arnold shows up in the exact same sort of like way that he showed up in the first one, and he gets up and starts moving. And like, as you point out, you don't know who Arnold is, right? Yes,
like,
exactly.
If you're watching this for the first time, you're just like,
they sent another T-800, right? Here we go again.
Arnold's gonna fuck some shit up.
So then he runs over to a country bar and he gets him some digs. And this is like where, because it's kind of like a funny scene, because he's like, I need your clothes or whatever. He's like, you forgot to ask, please. And then puts the cigar on him and then just fucks up everybody in there, but this is kind of important. Like, I think this is the first thought of like, oh, what's going on with him? Because in the last one, he just killed those guys, remember? Like, he killed the two of them and then took the other clothes and then he was out, okay? So I got to point out something here that's ridiculous, man. Arnold in this scene is 44 years old, bro.
Oh, wow.
He's older than I am right now. That's all I'm going to say about this scene. And
that dude was
how he looks compared to how I look.
Yeah.
Now, and I've been working out a lot and shit, but
No,
Jesus
that
Christ.
guy's on a different fucking
Jesus
level,
fucking
for
Christ.
real, yeah.
And fucking they kick off Bad to the Bone. Man, I love this fucking... I know this song is so old and so ridiculous. Okay. Such a great song still. Bad to the Bone.
He did a great job in this scene. I loved how it set it all up.
Yeah. And then we could jump over to the other Terminator showing up.
Yep.
And it's Robert Patrick.
Yeah.
This is his first main role as a main character. Before that, he was in Die Hard 2, but that was the first thing he did. And he was just, if I remember correctly, I'm trying to remember exactly, but I think he was, I know you didn't see that one. He's like one of the terrorists' sidekicks and shit like that. So he's just a sidekick in that
I've seen
movie,
Die Hard, but I never saw the other ones.
Right, absolutely. And when he shows up, he starts walking out. A cop pulls up to him, and the cop like tries to talk to him. He murders the cop, and then turns into a police officer. So I feel like at this point, you know which Terminator is which.
Does he murder the cop?
Yes, he absolutely like cuts right through the cop's stomach, or like he does his thing through the cop. And then
he doesn't.
He absolutely does. He kills that first cop. Yeah, or you don't see it go through him, but he absolutely punches him in the stomach, and we know that's how he kills people because he does the blade.
You don't see the blade though,
right?
But that's why I think it's important because like the other guy from the first movie would have done that shit. He would have like knocked somebody out. He's got a mission. You know?
I don't know, man. I
still
feel
at this point thought it's nebulous.
Oh, interesting. Okay, cool. Well, that's cool. They're playing it well then. In my opinion,
I thought that they were playing it very well.
All right, so
this is actually why I had that thought. Because I was just like, where is the point where it turns around?
Right.
And it doesn't turn around until the arcade scene.
Yeah, okay.
That's when it turns around.
You know what? Maybe I just take for granted that I know everything, right? Yeah. Because you're right. Because they even play into that and that scene importantly and whatnot. Yeah. And so, I guess, maybe I'm on board with you.
It's the get down. That's the moment where you're just like, wait, what?
Exactly.
And then he blows the fucking cop and then he's like, it's a T-1000.
Yeah.
And like that's when like I knew that he was going to be a T-1000, and I still thought in that scene I was just like, this was fucking great.
Yeah.
That scene was so well done.
Cool, man. I want to point since we obviously know that I love the fact that like it's the inverse of before.
Yes,
because the big badass is now the protector, and the small guy is the assassin rather than the protector in this one. So. We jump over to John Connor. We meet him as a young kid, and he's kind of a badass. Like, he doesn't give a fuck. He's with foster family.
He's literally Bart Simpson.
Perfect. 1991. Absolutely right. Yeah. No, you're right, because he's got a lot of slick lines, but not like
he's got a lot of eat me kind of thing.
Exactly. Not like slick like lines like a 20-year-old would say. Like a Bart Simpson,
like a fucking
juvenile for the late 80s.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
He's very eat my shorts.
Yes. Guns N' Roses song, of course, that was on this soundtrack. Very probably their second most famous song and shit, because it was, if I remember correctly, it was made for this movie too. Oh, so yeah, you could be mine.
I didn't even think that it was. I didn't fucking catch the song.
Of course. So then we jump over to Sarah Connor. We got to catch up what's going on with her. She's locked up.
Yep.
Makes a lot of sense, man. I mean, she was caught up for what happened in the past, and you can't explain what happened in the past. So, or you can.
She can, but nobody liked that explanation.
Yes, absolutely. So. So the Copinator, we jump over to the Copinator, and he's in his car.
He really loves that cop costume, too.
I mean, think about it, though. It's brilliant.
I kept telling to myself, it makes sense. It would be the easiest way to get away with whatever's happening. But he just kept going back to it. And I'm just like, wow, he really likes looking like that.
I feel like it's just like, this is, and I feel like that's like one of the little things, because of course that would be the easiest way to get all the information you need,
and for nobody to say shit to you.
Exactly that, right? And he gets into his car, he looks up John Connor, figures out where his address is, and he's like, all right, here we go. We jump back over to Sarah. She's now trying to deal with that fucking psychiatrist and whatnot.
But she's a badass.
Yes.
She's no longer this inept waitress. Now she's just fucking
working out constantly. Right. Yes, exactly. Sure. She's like, it's going to be my time at some point again. I got to be ready. Right. I'm not going to get fat in here and fucking,
Dude, I loved all of the backstory too. We just went place to place, learning what we could from people to people. Right. I learned how to load guns.
She only, importantly, I think in the story they bring up, she only dated badass dudes who were ex-military and stuff like that, so she could, and
just
in
learn
real
as
life,
much as she could from them.
She for 12 months trained with this Israeli special forces lady,
dude,
who like fucking taught her how to do everything with firearms, how to clear rooms, how to do
jacked,
yes.
dude. She looked trim as fuck.
Right,
dude.
yeah, no doubt, man. Like a badass, like you point out. And she has a dream, and she's kind of getting kind of laxed and whatnot at one point. And she has a dream about Michael Biehn coming to her. So Michael Biehn shows up just so he can get his paycheck or whatever for the movie. But he's clearly got a connection with Cameron because he's in 4 different Cameron films. Yes, so definitely that. And after her dream,
he was just like, "Hey, you mind throwing me?" Yeah. And Cameron was just like, "Of course, dude. Just come by set whenever you got some time.
Come by set.
Yeah.
Give me like 5 lines. I'll get you $200,000.
Yeah.
So after she has this dream, she tries to calm herself and get herself back to like a point where she can try to convince this fucking psychiatrist, you know what? You're absolutely right. This shit was in my mind. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking. There is no futuristic historic. Like that's all bullshit.
I was fucking kidding.
Of course, yeah. I was out of my mind, but I'm much better now, you know. And she's just like, I just want to talk to my son, basically, you know. So, and then of course they refuse, and then so she freaks out.
Just like, you think I'm stupid?
Yes, exactly.
You think I'm a fucking idiot?
Right. I think he specifically says something along those lines. Like, no, I know you're smart enough to like think you're going to play me.
To just tell me whatever I want to hear.
Yes, exactly that.
Although, like, honestly, what are they trying to expect out of rehabilitation then? You know, because like rehabilitation would sound like that.
Don't they deal with the Shawshank Redemption?
What do you mean?
Where did you ever see that movie?
No.
Really?
Yeah. That's the
wow. That actually kind of that has to be on the list for sure.
That's the movie with Morgan Freeman, right?
Yeah, it won like Film of the Year and all this other crazy shit.
It's consistently on like the best movies of all time. Yeah, I've never seen that.
It's hard to argue.
I've caught like little snippets.
There's a better Stephen King film than that.
Sure, yeah.
So
yeah.
And there's a scene where Morgan Freeman.
He's like an accountant.
Yes,
and then he like becomes the prison warden's accountant or some shit like that.
He is an accountant who has the same thing happen to him that happens in The Fugitive.
Yeah.
But he gets busted for it. Yeah. He doesn't get a prison break, so he ends up in jail. And you're right.
Look, but if I remember correctly, he does end up breaking out of prison through like the pipes or something.
Yeah.
Like I've seen little snippets.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, that would be a harder movie to do for this one because I wouldn't be like. I've seen like I want to say I've seen like 50% of that movie.
So, and more importantly, Morgan Freeman is constantly going up for parole and just deny. And it's the same thing where he's just like, you know, I'm a perfect citizen, this and that, blah, blah, blah. Then the final one, he's just like, I don't even give a fuck if you give me parole or not.
Yeah.
I'm done with this bullshit, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then he, of course, finally gets parole.
Oh, yeah.
And then he gets out and he's just like, dude, I've been in jail for 50 years.
Jesus Christ,
he doesn't know what the fuck.
But that's what I'm talking about. At this point, like Sarah Connor's just like, yeah, you know what? It has worked. You know, I've chilled out. I'm
taking the meds. Yeah,
you know,
sure.
exactly. Yeah, I get it. And they're just like, no, fuck you.
Right.
Like, I feel like, well, then what do you want in a year?
Yeah.
You know? Like, I'm just here forever then, I guess.
I know. So then we go over to, we're going to meet the guy.
I love that she, like, jumps over the fucking table.
Just like, you mother!
Like, then I'll kill you right here.
Exactly,
I love that.
Exactly. So,
she's such a badass in this movie.
Yeah,
like, at every
great.
opportunity, she, like, I love that she keeps bringing up, it doesn't matter if I kill you or if I don't kill you. If I don't do this, we're all dead anyway. So it doesn't fucking matter. And her character is literally written to embody that mentality.
Absolutely.
She will stop at nothing because anything in her way means everybody dies.
Yes.
I loved it.
And then we're going to get like a little like kickoff to another character. And this is Dyson, the guy that's kind of the thought processor behind Skynet.
Sure.
He's the guy who, you know, we find out later is going to create the thing that creates the AI that is eventually Skynet and starts the Terminator system. Guy makes great vacuums, clearly makes great Terminators.
Clearly.
So,
I mean, one is pretty much the other.
Right. And so then we jump over to Copinator again. He heads over to Connor's house, talks to the parents, and they're like, and he's very, you know, like, hey, have you seen John? You know, this and that, blah, blah, blah. Oh, you know, what did he do this time or whatever? And this is another way, like, it's pretty great because, like, these foster parents are like, yeah, this kid's a little fucking shit. Of course this cop's after them or whatever. And then they just make mention, some big asshole on a bike was here or whatever. And he's like, yeah, that guy, don't worry about that guy or whatever. And gets a picture, and then he heads out. We jump over to definitely the best 1980s/90s relic, a mall that's very busy.
Yeah,
with people. There's tons of
a
people
mall that
in
has
there.
people in it.
Right, exactly that. I went to the mall recently to buy something.
Which one?
Southridge.
Okay.
And I was like, wow,
dude, forget Southridge. Southridge is a bastion of hope for the malls compared to something like Brookfield Square.
Yeah, good point.
Brookfield Square.
Good point.
That might as well just be a warehouse.
Mm-hmm. They need to just basically do to that what they did with Bayshore. Turn it inside out.
Yeah.
That's what Bayshore did.
Yeah, because the outside stuff, all those restaurants and stuff, they get some people, but the mall is empty.
Yeah, you're right. So then we head over to Connor playing some video games.
Yep.
And
he's at the arcade being a
thing.
little shit with the mullet kid.
Yeah, mullet kid who's been in a bunch of shit, and I just can't remember off the. He's always the friend of the main character and whatnot.
With just like a shit eater face. Fucking
yeah,
kid.
absolutely, absolutely, man. So then the cop shows up there. Copinator shows up there.
Now we've had a couple of scenes now where where the T-800 is. He found him on the street and he followed him to the mall.
Yes.
So like the T-800 is there too.
T-800's kind of in the background. Yeah. He's not doing a lot.
He's walking around with like his flowers.
Huge flowers.
Yeah.
And it's funny though because like as he's walking around, I wonder if they were filming this and like this is another scene kind of like the St. Patrick's Day scene in The Fugitive because some of the people around when Arnold walked through is like like they're like look at him like he's like crazy or something, which is weird if you were making a movie.
Or maybe
whatever.
they're just like really good extras.
Yeah, maybe you're right. So
they're just trying real hard.
And then we finally get some action, man. And as you point out, the shit eater kid tells John, get the fuck out of here, man. There's a cop after you or whatever. And the cop, the Terminator just starts coming after him. He takes off, runs down the back alley, tries to get away, sees Arnold Terminator, though. And he's like, oh, fuck. I'll take my chances with the cop over fucking the Terminator I know that's going to kill me. Because,
well, not really.
Well, he's remember, he's been with his mom.
Yeah, but he hasn't seen it. At this point, he just runs through... And it's because the fucking T-800 takes out a fucking shotgun.
Right.
And so he's just like, fuck.
I'll deal with the cop.
Yeah,
right, that's what I mean.
Around,
He's like, he knows the stories that there was a Terminator sent to kill him. And there's guys pulling out this huge fucking gun. This huge dude's pulling out a huge fucking shotgun.
I can see the leap of rationale there.
Right. And so, man, and we get some fucking nice action going here. And these fucking special effects, man. Like, he's just like, get down, and he starts blowing through them. Right. And importantly, the cop, this is when you know for sure, because the cop just lets loose, shoots that other fucking guy that's in the way. Like, he doesn't give a fuck. At this
moment, you're just like, oh, that's what this is.
He's here to terminate that shit.
I love that switch, too.
Yes.
I knew it was coming, because I knew that the Terminator, the T-800 was the good-ish guy in this movie. But it was still just a cool moment to watch.
Absolutely. And this scene... As we know, because this movie certainly, I'm just going to say it right out, mirrors the fuck out of the first Terminator film. Yeah. And this is basically the Technor scene. When she goes to the fucking thing and they first meet each other finally and then they get in a fight. Yeah. And then it even has a scene of him going through the window and being laid out like in the Technor scene and whatnot. So great fight scene where they're just pushing each other through walls and stuff like that. Especially for like every time like I watch this shit, I have to like remind myself this is 1991 and like not 98 or 2000 or some shit like that. Cause it's just like, that is some awesome special effects for just coming out of the 80s and shit, man. Like that to me is kind of the mind blowing thing.
Yeah. There was a lot of times in this movie where I was just like, a lot of the budget must have gone to this fucking T-1000, man.
Oh yeah,
like,
for sure.
There's no way they were trying some stuff that was so like, pushing the fucking boundaries of technology at that point, I'm sure.
There's some fun tricks that come up later, too. So we get into a chase scene because John's like, I'm fucking out of here. I don't care about either one of these walkers. I'm out of here. Yeah. Takes off and shit. T-1000 takes off after him. T-800 tries to take off after him as well. He gets on his bike, takes off down one of these like LA fucking like ravine things. I always see these in movies. Are these real things that they have? Okay. I don't know. I've never been to LA.
I mean, I have no idea what it's for.
Yeah.
Is that what a
racing like? Isn't it for like racing 1960s cars?
Yeah, I think that's why they were put in originally.
Right,
but I think eventually what they became were just like film sets.
Right. If you are listening to the podcast and you live in LA or know someone who's like living in LA, tell us what the fuck these are actually for. Besides chasing.
Also, when you tell us, I'm still not going to believe you.
Right. I'm still going to believe her. Right. T-1000 gets in a semi to come after him.
Yeah.
T-800's back on his bike, chasing him down and whatnot. We get a lot of like different
Great chase scene. Great chase scene.
Amazing chase
Nice
scene.
long one, yeah.
Really good stuff. Really good effects.
Yeah.
Great fighting. Eventually, the T800 shoots down the fucking semi after it crashes.
Yeah.
Boom! Big explosion and whatnot.
Yeah.
Fucking takes off. T1000 comes walking out. Just awesome special effect of him being that fucking thing and then turning back into the fucking Robert Patrick.
Where he's the Silver Surfer for a moment.
Yeah,
and then,
man.
And then,
Love it.
You just go back.
So dope to me, man. Then we get a lot of like the T800 talking to John and like learning about stuff and going back and forth and like the fish out of water sort of like thing going on.
Yeah,
here.
I like this because John like almost right away understands, okay, this thing is here to protect me.
Right.
So he's just like, like poking and prodding at it, knowing that he's not going to get hurt.
Right.
Yeah, I like that.
And so he's like, you know what, man? You told me that this T1000 is after me. It's going to try to do everything to kill me. Let me stop real quick. I want to talk to my foster parents just to let them know I'm okay. Yeah. And man, this fucking scene
is iconic.
Unbelievable memes that come from this constantly.
Yeah.
Such an amazing fucking scene to me. It's such a small scene too, but so awesome, and it's a kickback to, of course, the scene from where she calls her mom and whatnot. So they call her up. She's just like trying to, and man,
I like how they brought back stuff from the first movie.
Yeah.
But they didn't do it for fan service. They did it because that's what these machines are capable of, and that's how they operate.
It has to do this process, right? Exactly.
They didn't go out of the way to be like, hey, remember from the first movie?
Right.
Like a lot of new movies.
A lot of shitty movies.
This is just like, well, this is how these machines work.
Right.
So,
absolutely.
They do that.
And so we get a little talk back and forth. She's just trying to like, hey, man, where are you?
The one thing that did stand out from the scene was that she was chopping up dinner.
Making dinner.
Like I was just like, the T1000's just chopping. Up
just trying to like
fit
blend in.
The moment.
Yeah, exactly. With the husband and everything else there. But then
he was going to kill the husband,
and everything was going kind of good. And they're like, hey, I'm okay, this and that, blah blah blah. But the dog keeps fucking barking, and he's like, dude, the dog's going crazy. And of course, the T800's like, yeah, no, hold on. Let me talk to this. Talks to him. Hey, what's wrong with Wolfie? Nothing. Wolfie's just fine. And then your foster parents are dead, right? Like, just so matter of fact. And we say, of course, the T1000 killed the husband too. And this is when, and then at this point, she goes, okay, your foster parents are dead. The next closest person to you is going to be your mom in there. He's going to go after your mom next. And she's like, we got to go after your mom, this and that, blah, blah, blah. Then we get a kind of a funny scene with the bodybuilders because he's like, get off of me. Get the fuck away from me.
Yeah, he doesn't realize that he has to do what the dude says.
Right, exactly. So, right. And he's like, let me go. And then he finally drops him and he's like, what the fuck did you do that for? Or whatever, right? And then they kind of explain that.
Well, I have to do what you say.
Absolutely. We jump over to the psych ward at this point, and
I like how before that happens, right? I bring this up because I'm going to bring this up in a little while again too. How the Terminator doesn't stop being a T800. Like for as like bodyguard as he is to John Connor, he's never not the T800.
Right.
And John Connor takes a little bit of time to understand what that means.
Yes.
Because in this scene, he goes to immediately kill the dude.
The black guy,
yeah, for sure. And John has to push his arm away. She's like,
drop the gun!
What the fuck are you doing?
Right.
He's just like, I was going to kill him.
I'm a Terminator.
Sure,
right, exactly. And he's like, you can't just kill people, which is important.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, yeah.
Later on,
yeah.
We jump back over.
From that point forward, he's just like, do not kill people.
Right.
All right.
T1000 scene, which, again, I don't know. I love this. I love the little attention to detail. T1000 goes outside, kills the dog, checks the dog's collar, wrong name, realizes, oh, fuck, they're on to me.
Yeah.
Got to go to the next thing or whatnot.
Yeah.
So
clever.
Right. We jump over to the psych ward, and T1000 gets there first, starts coming in, hey, I'm here to see Sarah Connor.
But Sarah Connor's also escaping because what she just had an encounter with the police.
Well, we're about to get to that.
No, the police thing happens first because when she's interrogated by the detectives before.
You're right.
The T1000
I apologize because they're talking to her about
when the T1000 gets there, the cops are leaving.
And importantly, They're talking to her about, we just saw this T-800.
Hey,
well, they don't know what it is.
This guy was here with you before.
Yes.
This guy was here today.
Yes.
What do you know about him? And she's like, comatose. She's like, I'm not answering shit.
And, right, exactly. She's not going to answer shit, but now she knows.
In her mind, she's just like, oh, it's today.
Oh, fuck, right. Yes, exactly. Great little thing. You're right. Absolutely. I'm sorry I forgot about that scene.
She steals a paperclip from them.
Yes.
They got a bunch of papers in front of them and all that. Steals a paperclip.
Yep.
She goes back to her room and escapes so hardcore.
Yes. The fucking sick fuck that was like licking her earlier gets his nose busted the fuck up.
She whoops the fuck out of him so bad. She like runs and like jumps and fucking hits him with the broom handle so hard.
Love it, man. He got exactly what he deserved. That fucking piece of shit. So.
Yeah, he got it so bad, dude. She just kept pummeling his face with that thing. I was like, you're being excessively brutal. Right
Absolutely, man. Terminator's like, hey, I'm here to see Sarah Connor. She's like, hey, you're kind of late, actually, you know, whatnot. And
your friends are just coming out.
Right, exactly. But she turns around, he's gone. Go over to a security guard that's trying to get some coffee out of the fucking machine.
Yeah.
He's fucking around there, and he's trying to get his coffee out. Behind him, the floor starts to transform.
The floor,
into him to kill him. How they pulled this scene off?
Yeah.
Guy has a twin.
Oh, really?
So he just had his twin in there, and they fucking, that's how they filmed
clever.
that scene.
Yeah, I thought it was just like, you know, cameraman.
Of course, right.
Like,
just as easy as having a twin.
Wow.
So, yeah, Sarah, like you point out, Sarah starts to become a badass at this point, starts to break out. Jump over to T-800, and John finally show up. They're like, hey, we're going to come in. The fucking cop outside's like, hey, we don't. Just comes out, boom, shoots him right in the leg.
He gets out of the car. This is where I was going to bring this up.
Yes.
Gets out of the car and shoots both of his legs. Yeah. That, to me...
Gets the bullets out, takes his bullets, opens up the door.
I love this.
Yes.
The reason I love this is because they never... emasculated the T-800.
Yeah.
The T-800 is the same terrifying machine that he was in the first movie.
Yes.
He's not killing John Connor, and he's just trying to protect him as much as possible.
Sure.
So he's a lot less aggressive, and he's killing a lot less people because that's not his directive. But I loved how in every opportunity there was for this machine to be the scariest, deadliest machine, it absolutely was. They pulled no punches with it.
It's a machine. What I love about it is it's a machine. So what you order me, that's exactly to a T what I'm going to follow. Just like a computer, like programming and shit like that. It only does exactly what you tell it to do.
You didn't say anything about not hurting this guy. You said just don't kill him.
Don't kill him.
Yeah.
He specifically says he'll live. Yeah. Right, exactly. So the Terminator gets in. Sarah's running around doing her shit. She's like trying to get out. The guys are after her. She's locking doors behind her. Comes down in a fucking row. Sees the Terminator there. And she freaks the fuck out.
Freaks the fuck out.
Everything in this movie makes perfect sense. Yes. That's what I want to point out again. Like every interaction makes so much goddamn sense. Yeah. So she starts to run the other way. The orderlies finally grab her. That fucking doctor shows up to.
They're about to hit her with the needle.
Right. And then other Terminator shows up. Yeah. Walks through the fucking... I just love that bar scene because he walks through the bars, except his gun gets caught, has to turn and twist his gun through the thing. Little things like that. I love that shit so much, man. So he starts... T-800 shoots that guy a couple times. Yeah. She looks up at him, and John's there. She realizes that he's not there to kill her, obviously. Come with me if you want to live.
Yeah. Yeah,
I teared up at the scene. I don't know why. I love that fucking line, man. It's so fucking good. And like you pointed out in the first movie, you thought Arnold said this, and it was Michael Biehn in the first movie, Arnold in the second movie. You're right. So, we get they take off at this point, and the T-1000 is trying to shoot him and whatnot. I love this too. He's like constantly using his back and stuff like that as a shield between them to block the bullets and whatnot. So just a little cool thing, you know. Just,
the elevator doors are closing.
Yes,
he shoves them in.
Yes,
turns them into a thing. Opens it up, and he just point blank shoots them
in the face.
Dude, there was so much of this movie that was so cool.
Yeah,
you know, like that scene was just so badass.
Right, absolutely, dude, and like. Just the different ways he can manipulate his body in the T-1000 is so awesome.
They turned that up by the end of the movie.
Of course,
holy hell.
Right, no doubt, man. So they get away and they get out of the hospital.
Yeah.
They get away in a car.
And then this awesome classic staple of cultural references. chase scene.
Yes,
where
of
he's
course.
just like boom, boom, boom. Just
with the insane run. Yep, jumps
jams
onto the
into
thing.
it. Yeah,
exactly. Leaves a little piece of himself in there. John throws
Like
that
there's
off.
no
and they take
way
off.
you live life watching TV and movies and not see this scene.
Of course,
sometime
yes.
in your life. Yeah.
They get to like a little private area finally, and because she was hurt by the T-1000, so they have to sew up her shoulder.
Yep.
And he actually has a bunch of bullets that they want to take out of him as well.
Yeah.
Which I don't know why, but whatever. Who gives a fuck, right? It gives a chance to make some cool CGI stuff going on, or not CGI, practical effects. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, and at this point, he's like, okay, you're gonna have to shut me off, take my processor out or whatever for a second, this and that, and she's gonna try to destroy the prize. She's like, fuck this Terminator or whatever, right? Which is, kind of crazy to me because like I get her like thinking, but like clearly this T-1000 is even better than a T-800, and you barely kill the T-800
You
with
will
beams.
a little bit need the most help you can get.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And John is like that you can't kill him or whatever.
And I really do feel like at that point she was chased to death by a T-800.
Yes.
So I get it.
Right.
But I feel like there are a lot of times where she snaps out of the trauma, where she snaps out of the PTSD, and she's just like, I need to maybe fucking think things through a little bit.
No, it totally makes sense to me, man. And they just have a lot of scenes now talking about humanity and shit and like what's going on with humans and are we doomed to like find this like ending or whatever, and the T-800's just like, you guys seem to always find a way to kill each other and this and that. And they just kind of question, like, he kind of questions, like, what are we even saving? Is humanity worth saving? And then Sarah starts asking about how did we get to the point of D-Day, basically. You know, like, what exactly happened?
How does it start?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then T-800 kind of explains everything to her about, like, the Skynet.
Yeah, because in the earlier movie, he was just like, well, it's super hazy. The records are super hazy.
Right.
But in this one, the T-800 is just like, oh, yeah, I have all the database.
Right, of course. He's a computer, yeah. So he remembers every single thing. And he explains exactly how Skynet came about, and they explain more of how the attack happened, that basically the Skynet knew that if it attacked Russia from America, Russia would automatically re-attack the areas that it was attacking and basically cause the nuclear issues that they end up having. We then jump over to Miles because we haven't really dealt with him too much. That's Dyson, and we get a little bit of his family now, and give him they just try to give him a little humanity.
So first, though, they go to, before this happens, they go to find her friend in the desert.
That's what happens next.
Are you sure?
100%.
Oh, okay.
So we just get a little scene with Miles.
Tiny bit.
It's his wife and his kid. And they're just to do a little bit of
racing around with the fucking thing or whatever.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then we jump over to Sarah pulling up to like a little what I expect all of Mexican living to be like, shanty towns and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
And we get up and we meet her ex-boyfriend, and they're some Mexicans and whatnot. How did you feel about this whole scene?
I don't know. You seemed like a vibe.
Yeah, it wasn't like, it didn't feel fake to me or anything like that.
Her Spanish was rough.
Yeah.
His Spanish was great.
Yes.
His wife's Spanish was terrible. So bad.
Was she supposed to be Mexican?
Yeah.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
She was only speaking Spanish.
Yeah.
Now, when the guy was speaking Spanish, you could tell that he was a native speaker.
Sure.
Like, I was just like, oh, they cast an actual native speaker. That was nice. And then when his wife started speaking Spanish, I'm just like, oh,
they cast an American
this lady's never spoke Spanish.
Right. And it makes sense that Sarah wouldn't. That's not her first language,
of course,
right?
Yeah.
She learns that later.
And she did a good job.
Yeah. I thought, like, as a non-Spanish speaker, she did a good job of like being an American speaking Spanish.
Yeah.
Like Sarah does this all the time. And that's I just had a mind-blowing thought that like maybe because of my love for Terminator is why I ended up with the woman that I am with.
Oh man.
Wow, fuck man.
Probably it.
Wow, I'm crazy. All right, so then at this point, Sarah has a dream. We just like kind of have a scene of them. This is like the commando scene, right? The closest we get to a commando scene where they get all the different guns and arms and stuff like that.
Strapping the bazookas to his fucking chest.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Strangely though, like totally suited up Arnold. Like the only thing we even get is his face in this film, which is cool. Whatever.
Yeah.
So
all he needed to do was put the war paint over his fucking face, and I would have been like, "Is this commando?"
Right. So At this point, Sarah has a dream about the apocalypse, and she decides...
Super classic scene,
of course.
Too. I used GIFs from this, having never watched this movie.
Well, now you know where they came from.
I love that just explosion scene.
I know, absolutely. And
super practical effect, right?
Yeah. This is absolutely a practical effect. They explain how behind the scenes, basically, they made all these models and stuff like that, and just had like a flame, and they shoot the flame through the thing and filmed it like that. So, well, as we talked about in the first film, he came from special effects. That's where Cameron came from. So then she's like, I'm going to go kill this motherfucker Dyson.
Yes. So she's like up all night just stewing on this shit.
Yes.
And she's just like, you know what? Let's just end it right here.
Right. It's that classic dilemma, right? Yes. If you could kill Hitler before, would you do him?
Yeah.
Right? Exactly.
And she was
before
just like, I'm going to go kill baby Hitler.
I can do that. Right, exactly. She gets there, and John realizes, oh, fuck, she went to go after this guy. Gets the T-800. They try to chase after her. She finally is able to. She shoots him once. She breaks into the fucking house. She's about to kill him, and she can't kill him.
Dude, now, hold on. You skipped over one of maybe the baddest ass things I've ever seen.
Go ahead, hit me with it.
Because she's like about to kill him.
Yes.
And then he ducks for a second.
Yes.
She shoots the monitor out. Mm-hmm. And then instead of being like, fuck, I just fucked up. She just unloads into that shit. Oh my god! And then as soon as the magazine was empty, she reloads the magazine and empties another one. As she was shooting at him, I was just like, "This woman is the baddest ass woman in any fucking movie I've ever seen."
Again, that's one of those little things that they did because reloads it just like a military member would, like an experienced infantryman would reload her shit. And
she's just like, if that first bullet didn't kill him, one of these next 100 will.
These two clips, this is gonna fucking get him, right? Exactly. So, and the kid tries to help too and whatnot. Like, don't get, and this and that.
Don't
and she can't kill him. She's just like, I can't do it.
She snaps out of it last minute. Yes. She's just like, this is going too far.
Right. Yeah. And
then the T-800 and
John and the Terminator show up. And we just didn't get an explanation of why she was there to kill him.
They all sit down. They're all just like, okay. Well, thanks for not killing me, but we'll help with
who the fuck
situation.
Are you?
Yeah.
I'm from the future, this and that, blah, blah. Bullshit. Actually, we'll show you. And then he fucking shows him the arm that he's already seen before.
Yes,
right, exactly.
Yeah.
So he knows.
Got one of those.
Fuck, this is for real.
I really like that where she was just like, where he was like, oh, how could we have known? And
he says, how could I possibly have known?
She's like, how could you have known? This has happened so many times.
The atom
and it's
bomb,
always dudes like you,
exactly.
know? Like,
you guys think you're so creative.
Yeah.
You have no idea what it's like to
You're throwing care to the wind. You don't
yes.
give a shit what you're doing. You just want to do the thing.
Right. No, it's a good scene. And it just plays all those because I think it's always easy for us to go, of course I would shoot Hitler as a kid or whatever, right? Because you were never going to actually have the chance to go back and shoot Hitler as a kid.
Staring down a little kid,
right?
That's a different story,
right? Yeah. You nailed it. Yeah. Being able to actually pull that trigger in his face is a lot different and whatnot. So, it is what it is, right? So, then they're like, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go over to Cyberdyne Systems, destroy everything you have, because because he even brings up, you know what? I'm going to quit tomorrow. I'll go to another.
That is not enough, baby boy. Somebody's going to pick up your shit tomorrow.
Right. T-800's like a person will just step into your place and then they will continue the same thing. Yeah. And they're like, all right, I got a better idea. Let's go over to Cyberdyne Systems. We'll destroy every piece that you guys have. Yeah. And then that way you guys won't have the technology. Yeah. And then we'll destroy, T-1000, T-800. Yeah. Erase from existence there, right? So they head over to Cyberdyne Systems. Yeah. They jack the guard right away, start going into doing their things. One of the guards, that sees him calls the cops. Yep. He's like, hey, that guy, and she's that woman too, he's here or whatever.
It's the guy from the mall.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. Well,
he was on his shit.
I mean, here's the thing.
He was watching the news earlier.
Not only, I guess it'd be hard to picture, but imagine if that fucking guy who shot up the Sikh temple, right? Sure. Shot all those people, shot some cops and stuff like that. Yeah. We killed him.
Every cop in the area knew that guy's face.
Absolutely.
Sure.
And now think about if that guy 5 years later showed up at Southridge, right? People would be like, we're going to fucking kill this motherfucker, right? Exactly. So
everybody shows up.
Yeah, absolutely. So cops show up. And he's like, I'll take care of this. T-800's like, I'll take care of this shit. Yeah. And he's like, hey, remember, Donk area or whatever.
Okay, when this scene happens,
yes,
and he walks over to the window, he pushes the desk through the window, and he's got a minigun, and he just starts unloading. this is where I was just like, this is maybe the best action scene I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Or the best action movie I've ever seen. Because I was already riding a good-ass hype train.
Absolutely.
And when he started unloading on these fucking... And he's just from the window, just boom, just like super like surgically, just blowing up all the cars. I couldn't believe how much fun I was having with this movie. This like hit me like Commando when he's like raiding the camp, where I was just like... This is the funnest shit that I've ever watched, you know?
Yeah. And then,
as soon as he's done with the minigun, puts the fucking grenades in and just starts popping them one by one. Oh, I also forgot to mention how fucking badass it was when he was reloading the shotgun on the motorcycle.
Sure.
When he was giving it the spin.
Yeah.
And then he was like, I was just like, that's so cool.
Yes,
it just
absolutely.
looks so cool.
Like, it's so funny too, because like now you've shotguns and stuff like that. You know how like strong you would have to be able to do that.
Insanely.
Right.
Also, I can't imagine, just as a side note, how many dudes wanted to be the Terminator back in the fucking early 90s.
I mean, like Arnold, it was Arnold,
dude,
right?
Yeah,
Arnold was unbelievable.
I just can't imagine how many like black leather jackets and sunglasses were bought at that time.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody was just like, Terminator, spiking their hair and shit like that. No, you're absolutely right. So, so then now we get like more of a siege in the Cyberdyne systems. The cops start to come in and whatnot. Terminator's doing his thing. He's like at one point Sarah Connor gets caught. Hey, she's in there. She can't get out. Just blasts through the wall, fucking pulls her through the wall, and then starts using the grenade. This is one of those things that like, I know this wouldn't irritate anybody, and it did. I want to point it out. It didn't irritate me, but I was like, God damn, this is not how a grenade launcher works at all, because he's just like shoots the grenade launcher and the entire wall like blows out. Like, no, the grenade bounces off, shoots back at you, and explodes in your face is how that really works. But like,
I thought it was on an impact thing.
No,
that's Hollywood for you, man.
Yeah, exactly. That's not how grenades work, but it's
never shot a grenade launcher.
Right, of course. I don't think you will. So then it's at a certain point.
I mean, unless Cybernet does this.
It makes sense.
And then I'll be a part of the resistance. Yeah. Because I'm relatively John Connor's age.
I can believe that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're 1 year younger.
Yeah.
So, yeah, absolutely, man. You could do it. So, wait, you mean you're John Connor's age in this movie?
No, I'm...
Just kidding. So, I know you think you're young, but Jesus fucking Christ. So, cops eventually are like, all right, let loose the tear gas. We're going to fucking siege this area now. They start shooting off the tear gas. Terminator and Sarah Connor, John Connor, are coming out the elevator. He's like, hold on, stay here. He just starts walking out. They start unloading on him. We start to get the battle damage Terminator at this point in time.
Unloading.
Yes,
unloading. And then
at what point do these cops just go, I'm fucking out of here?
So that was actually my thought because they're unloading, and I can understand unloading until the point where he's right next to you and you start shooting cops in the legs. Because the first cop that gets shot in the leg, I'm just like, okay, we have done our part.
Yeah.
And I'll be gone.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Bye. I get that we're supposed to be doing this job,
right?
But clearly the things that we have aren't stopping.
This is right.
And I'm leaving.
Yes, these small submachine guns are clearly doing nothing.
I don't want you to think that I'm a bitch, okay? I'm not a bitch.
Yes.
I just have come to the realization that we are not doing anything.
Right. It'd be like someone just shooting at a tank endlessly. And not like Saving Private Ryan style where you're dead and fuck it. I'm fuck it anyway. This is just resistance.
You can walk away at this point.
Exactly, right. And two cops do try to walk away eventually because he runs out of bullets, picks up the fucking tear gas launcher, nails the two of them. Right, exactly. Sure. So, fuck, that hurts. Right?
The guy hits in the back.
Right. Fuck, that hurts. So, finally, the T-1000 shows up, and he's like, all right, here we go. T-800 gets all the way out, takes the SWAT team truck, backs into the fucking Cyberdyne systems, picks up the two of them. Importantly, Miles is dead at this point. Right?
He's about to die.
Yes.
He's got like 19 holes in his stomach.
Yes.
And he's just holding out long enough.
Yeah, right, sure, exactly. Yep, I apologize. That's right. And so they get in the SWAT team car, van, take the fuck off, right? Cops get all the way in. They see Dyson. He's holding the, you know.
There was a little nitpicky thing,
of course,
where his key card isn't opening where the other key's going to come in, and he's just like, oh, it's because of the thing.
And the Terminator's like, let me try.
No.
Oh,
and then John Connor is just like, I'll hack it.
Oh yeah.
And then he gets down to the code and they press in the code. But there was a point where he said none of the codes are going to open anything right now because they've locked down the system. So it doesn't matter that he knows the code. This other guy had access too.
Oh, okay.
And either way, it wasn't supposed to open. Yeah. And then he opened it anyway, and I was just like, okay, well, that was just their solution. It's super nitpicky.
I didn't even think about it until now that you point out, like, I didn't even like it. It just dawned on me now that that's the scene of him hacking in the ATM earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was, I went, fuck, man, Cameron is so fucking great, man.
Kind of.
I don't know.
I feel like he was just like, oh, this is where this comes back. But, like, the solution didn't make sense. To the situation he presented, it didn't make sense. Listen, I'm not going to dock it for that.
Yeah.
It's just like, that was a nitpicky thing. I was just like, come on, dude.
He didn't understand hack. I'm sure Cameron had no idea. I hear about this computer hacking thing. I'm just going to do it, right?
We're just putting it in.
Right, exactly. Now, as they take off in the SWAT team, T-1000 finally shows up. He's on his little cop motorcycle, gets off. The helicopter's there. He jumps on the helicopter, smashes in the window, like oozes his way into the fucking thing.
Oozes his way through the window.
The guy's like, what the fuck? And he's, get out. And the guy's just like,
what the
yep,
fuck are you
I'm
doing?
out.
Yeah,
Right,
I was just
exactly.
like, the fear was so intense, he jumped out of a helicopter.
I mean, you just saw this thing ooze into the helicopter and then talk to you.
Yeah, okay.
Right.
You know, like
agreeable terms. I'm out of here, right? I'll take my chances, right? You know? So,
I hope my legs break.
exactly. So then we get another chase scene at this point. He eventually, helicopter crashes.
Yeah.
He gets into a nitrous truck. Cryo.
Now, it's liquid. It's a giant liquid nitrogen truck. Now, I loved this scene where he tells John Connor to drive.
Yep.
He gets out,
Yep.
jumps on top of the liquid nitrogen tank, and then unloads into the driver's side. The visual of that, how it looked, was so fucking badass.
Dude, and then
it was like, it blew my mind in 2001.
Yes.
I'm sure people shit themselves.
right.
In
They're like,
1991.
this is the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Dude, in 1991,
yes.
they were like, people probably passed out from how cool this shit was.
He, not only that, he unloads into it, then reaches in there and jacks the steering wheel to fucking hijack the truck and, or jackknife the truck and shit. So, yeah, man, this is quite the fucking scene, dude.
Yeah.
And truck tips over, nitrous shooting everywhere, freezes up the T-1000. We finally see a fucking weakness for the T-1000, freezes him. Hasta la vista, baby. Boom, shoots him, and he fucking shatters.
Shatters into a million pieces.
Yes. And the movie's over with. Except for it starts heating up, and the T-1000 gets back together.
They're in the foundry.
Of course, he reforms, and we're back in a foundry fight again. Although last time it was a machinery, I think it was like a car auto manufacturer place or whatever. We're in a metal foundry.
It's the same shit. It was the same place. They probably filmed it in the same location.
Probably, more than likely. So, and now we start to get the end fight at this point in time.
Yep.
They're just going back and forth. T-1000 keeps attempting to go after the Connors. T-800 keeps stopping him, so he has to fight the T-800.
And then when they have their fight,
Yeah.
that was another moment where I was just like, this must have cost the fucking 3D animators
For sure.
so much money, because
Absolutely.
the creativity with which they were fighting to me for 1991 was a home run. Was like the home run derby. Every time he would do a thing, it was another home run.
Yeah.
Like there was a point where he punches him and he lets
him go through the fucking thing and then catches him.
Now that's the hand. I was like, oh, that's so cool. I'm glad. So one of the things that I was glad about is that they did the most out of their technology so that people wouldn't be like, well, if he could do this, why wouldn't he do that? He did it all.
Right.
You know,
he did every
the
single
things.
thing that, exactly. No doubt, bro. And then they fucking are just fighting back and forth. You get some cool, like, because eventually the T-800 gets caught up. You get some cool fighting between Sarah Connor and him. And he's just like, I'm going to kill you if you don't call out the John. And she's just like, fuck you or whatever. And then you get another fight between the two of them. And now the T-800 is just fucked at this point. He's got his arm off. He's slammed through the fucking
Really
thing that
jammed him
shuts.
up. Sure.
Yeah, exactly. He's all fucked up. So T-1000 catches up with him. She's got the shotgun. She's blasting his ass into the fucking thing. Of course, runs out of bullets right before he gets knocked off the thing.
One more, dude.
And just
One more.
this is another one of those iconic things. That fucking finger wag,
Dude. Now that finger wag.
Yeah.
That so here in the landing zone.
Yep.
I think they stuck the landing.
Okay.
I'll say it. I'll say that.
Tell me why you didn't like the finger wag.
But there were two things that happened that I didn't like.
Okay.
The finger wag
Okay.
was the first one.
Sure.
When he finger wags, I was just like, this is a machine. He doesn't have...
No, importantly earlier, these T-1000s, this is why I love the finger wag. He brings up earlier in the movie that they did everything they could to make these things as human as possible with their interactions.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
That's why he's so much more smooth when he's like talking to people and all that stuff throughout the film.
Yeah, because he's not all... Like, he's just
exactly.
like, hey, have you seen...
Right, exactly. He talks like a regular human because
Sure.
they went out of their way to make him as human as possible and whatnot. So this gets ridiculous in future movies when they go even further to try to make him more human and fucking asinine. But yeah, I liked it because it just gave a little bit of like, I get why, like, if you weren't like super hyper focused on like how human they were, yeah, I get it.
I get okay. I see where the seed was planted.
Okay.
It was a little jarring for a dude who was watching it for the first time.
For sure.
But like now with that explanation, I'm like, okay, I'll give him that. Though.
Okay. Yeah.
And the other one, and I understand the seed. Right?
Yeah.
So like let's finish this up.
Yes.
The T-800 shoots him.
Yep.
It explodes.
Gets
he goes,
him. The thing. We get a scene from the thing.
Yeah. Falls into the lava pit.
Yes.
He dies. Okay.
Turns into all the different people he's turned into and whatnot.
Well, in the last 24 hours.
Yes. Yeah.
And then we say our heartfelt goodbye to the T-800.
Of course.
Because we have to get rid of all the
Because he's
technology.
become a father to John, basically.
Sure, yeah. And Sarah Connor had even mentioned that before, where he was just
he's the only person who isn't bailed on.
The only person who could measure up was the heartless fucking killing
T-800, right.
And I was just like, I don't know if I super like the subtext of this, but we'll move past it. But like here, where he was saying goodbye, and he was like hugging him and embracing him and feeling something, I didn't like that he could feel anything.
Who?
The Terminator, the T-800.
You felt like he felt something from that?
Yeah, because he hugged him back, you know, and he was just like, "I'm sorry, John Carter." Like he was just like,
because he's his protector,
genuinely apologetic.
Sure.
You know, I didn't like that he would even think to be apologetic.
Okay,
you know. Now I understand it. You want to have a sympathetic moment.
Of course,
you want to feel a little something for the death of this like heroic character, and you can't if he's literally one to one a robot.
Right.
But like. It was a slippery landing.
I don't know, man.
Telling you, I'm giving him the landing.
I get what you mean because you're coming from like a logical standpoint.
And specifically to that, they went so above and beyond to make everything like
as logical as possible.
This is how it would work. This is how it would happen. I really loved all those little attention to details. And here in the end, I was just like, I feel like Cameron was just like, well, we got to make the audience do something for this stuff.
That thumbs up, bro.
The thumbs up. The thumbs up, I fine. Yeah. I was fine with the thumbs up.
Yeah.
I was less fine with the I'm sorry and the hug.
Yeah, I guess I could see that.
The thumbs up would have been fine.
The thumbs up makes sense because he's just like he's as like robotic as possible, and he's just like because he saw that earlier. Because we always go back to things that the Terminator saw earlier, and he saw that earlier. So he's just what a fucking Oh man, I remember like being emotional as a kid, and I remember being emotional last week when I watched it again because it's just like it's such a fucking great scene, man. I get where you're coming from. Yeah. It's a little bit much, but man, maybe they could have just had that.
They just turned up the Hollywood just a tiny too much in this
I get
moment.
it. No, I get it, man. And that's the end of and then of course John and Sarah go on the run, and that's the end of the film. So a few behind the scenes things. The other person that they first went to for the T-1000, Billy Idol.
Okay.
I could totally see Billy Idol as that character, but he got in a motorcycle accident right before this got ready to start filming, and he was out. He was like a big deal at this point in time, because I think White Wedding was like 88 or 89, so he was still the Billy Idol man.
Interesting,
first ever use of natural human motion for CGI characters.
Ever, yeah.
So that, that's the balls and all that type of shit, you know. First time they ever did that. So,
and that was $90 million of their budget.
And the first ever computer generated main character. Yeah. That's never happened before this movie. So insane.
Like the fact that they pulled it off as well as they did for 1991 was a huge standing ovation.
Let's talk about how. Now, that's a lot. They put in a lot into this movie, a lot of money into this movie, a lot of time into this movie. Let's talk about the outpour from this movie then. Broke all records for July 4th openings.
Wow.
Okay. Broke opening day records. Second biggest, the only opening ever bigger than this at the time for a weekend. It was second all time for a weekend. The only thing bigger was Batman the 1989 movie from Tim Burton.
Interesting.
Importantly, though, that movie was PG-13. This was R.
Oh,
so,
wow, yeah.
Absolutely.
So it's huge. Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
Highest grossing film of 1991.
Yeah.
Highest grossing film ever for Arnold.
Okay.
That's
big.
And it was at the time the third biggest grossing film worldwide ever. The only two things bigger than it were E.T. and Star Wars. Again, this movie was rated R. I want to bring that
for sure,
again.
yeah.
So, all right. And then other things. It was up for, obviously, Academy Awards. Best cinematography, best film editing, best makeup, which it won, best sound, which it won, best sound editing, which it won, and, of course, best visual effects.
Sure.
Guess what? It won.
Of course. Dude.
Right.
Jesus.
So, and then it was I know this is like so like far in the past, but there was a time when the MTV Movie Awards were like a big deal, when MTV was important and all this shit. So, okay, cool.
Awards,
I'm glad. And it was up for like everything in that movie, and it won just tons of shit. I think the only things it didn't win were like best actor and like best picture, but it won like best actress, best, everything else. It pretty much won that thing.
Yeah.
American Film Institute, I always like going to this. 77th best film for the most thrilling films of all time. Okay.
Even 77 seems
way too. I know.
Low.
I agree. Way too low. Terminator, the actual character, the T-800.
Yeah.
48th greatest hero of all time.
Okay.
In the list, and the 22nd best villain of all time for Terminator 1.
Yeah.
It's the only character to be on both sides of the list and whatnot, which is pretty unique. So, would you recommend Terminator 2?
No, this movie sucked.
I agree. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, have a good night. No, this fucking thing was great, dude. This was I remember Terminator I enjoyed. I remember tepidly enjoying Terminator.
Absolutely.
Like I was just like, this was a competent movie, this was a fun movie, I like it. But boy did number 2 build on number 1. Sure. They took everything from number 1 that you liked, and they were just like, here is all the payoff. Here's all the cool things that that were affected or built up or the foundation was laid for by the first movie. They really just decided to give everybody the payoff they wanted, and I thought that they did it phenomenally. Yeah. All the actors were good, all the action was good, the pacing was great. The pacing was so good that when they escaped the iodine, what's it called? Cyberdyne Systems building when it exploded. But by the way, that fucking practical effect, like there is nothing like a real explosion. Agreed. Like I've seen 100,000 digital explosions now. A real explosion looks different, Yeah. And so at that point, they start. When they leave, there's still 30 minutes left of the movie, and I was just like, "Oh."
Do you know how long this movie is? I usually don't like to interrupt you. 2 hours and 25 minutes.
Yeah. There was a point where they were leaving, and there was still 30 minutes left of the movie, and I was just like, "Really? You're gonna give me a fucking 30-minute climax?" And then it did, and I didn't even notice it, dude. It was so fucking good. All in all, man, this movie got me hyped to watch the next movies. I know the next movies are all bad. Like, there's not a single good Terminator that happened after this, right? And I can't wait to watch them all anyway, because I really just want to know what the fuck happened.
That's hilarious, man.
Yeah. So what do you think, man? Did it hold up?
Man, oh man. I was a little nervous going into this movie, okay? Because, like, this is a pinnacle of my childhood when I think about, like, movies from being a kid. Like, this is the movie where you're like, okay, if you were alive in the 80s, 90s, it's, like, one of the greatest films of all time to, like, many people who were around for this film. And I was kind of nervous going back to, like, man, maybe this isn't going to hold up. The effects aren't going to be as good as I remember, et cetera, et cetera. And, man, this movie is unfucking believable. The acting in this movie is way better than like an action sci-fi film should be. I was like thinking about just the foster parents, which are like side characters that barely matter at all, are fucking great actors. The interaction scene with the Terminator and whatnot, and how she's acting and how the fucking dad is acting. Yeah. Fucking loved it. And I'm just like,
nobody was given a half performance.
Right. Yeah. And it's just like, and I was thinking as I reviewed our first episode, you, in the first episode, one of the problems you had with Terminator was there was a lot of ham-fisted acting. Yeah. And like, it feels like most of that has been gone by the wayside with this movie too. Like, they were like, okay, that was
even the shit-eating kid friend was given a fucking good performance.
Exactly. It's like, hey, I thought I saw that kid you were looking for. He just ran over there or whatever. And just throws him out of the way. But
everybody.
I'm going to say some stuff right now, okay? Yeah. This is arguably the best action film of all time.
Sure.
The only film that I can even think that I'd maybe put there with it is Raiders of the Lost Ark, which is, to me, like one of my favorite films of all time.
The last time I saw Raiders of the Lost Ark, I might have been like 12 years old. So
okay, maybe we'll review it one day down the line here. Yeah. So, old movie, when we were in our third or fourth year, old movies you forgot.
Old movies I barely watched.
Yes. This hits me back to my childhood more than any other movie besides maybe Commando. Commando's the only thing I can think of that hits me back to the...
Commando's the only movie that I can think of that I enjoyed as an action movie as much as this.
Yeah, as much as this. No, I totally believe that. This is arguably, I don't know... This is a little hard for me to say. One of the best sequels of all time. Okay. Sure. And the only reason I say that, all right, so here's the thing. Obviously, Dark Knight, Empire Strikes Back. That's the only two that I even put into the cycle with this movie. And the reason I say that this is probably the best sequel of all time is because Batman Begins, and it's probably the second best sequel of all time. Batman Begins to Dark Knight is like phenomenal. Like Dark Knight, like don't get me wrong, Batman Begins is a fine movie, but Dark Knight is one of the best comic book movies of all time, in my opinion. The problem with Empire Strikes Back is Star Wars is a great movie. So, like, it just kind of gets better. And there's a lot of people who think Star Wars is better than Empire Strikes Back, too. So, which I get that. This one, I love Terminator, but this movie's so much better than the original Terminator. Like, it's just, everything about it is better.
Orders of magnitude better.
Right,
and exactly. The first one was good, but this one's orders of magnitude better.
I agree, man. And it's an amazing film. And it's arguably the best sci-fi film of all time, in my opinion. Except... Have you ever gone back-to-back before in anything?
I don't know what that means.
Like, Michael Jordan was like a back-to-back champion, and like Tom Brady was a back-to-back champion. Have you ever gone back-to-back in anything?
No.
Like maybe like 2 dumps in a row or something like, oh man, I still got to go back to the bathroom and go run back. Well, anyways, we're going to go back-to-back with James Cameron because he fills in for Ridley Scott, and we record Aliens live.
Yeah, I'm really sick of being corrected when I say Alien 2. Everybody.
What's Alien 2?
Aliens. Okay.
I don't even know what Alien 2 is.
See you live next week.
We are not going live. Hey Janelle, what's wrong with Wolfie? I can hear him barking. Is he all right? Wolfie's fine, honey. Wolfie's just fine. Where are you? Your foster parents are dead.